Hi, everyone. Bill Rensselaer in the 1011 Now Streaming Studio. Hope everyone is having a nice Wednesday. It has been a hot second, but we are excited to have Jared Minary back in the streaming studio for another edition of Crime Stoppers. Jared, we were just talking. I think it was maybe November the last time we had you here.
It's been a while.
It's been
quite a while.
Yeah. So
we've both been very busy. So.
Yeah. Well, end of the year. But now we were just saying our calendars have opened up as
Yep.
we started
So let's
2025. Yeah, jump right in. Got a couple new crimes that we want to talk about.
Yep.
One that I think is kind of unusual, and then we want to talk about, I'll give it away a little bit, but January is Crime Stoppers Recognition Month.
That it is.
So
we'll talk about it.
Yeah, we'll get to that. But first, we want to talk about this identity theft. Again, it is a little unusual. Walk us through kind of what we're seeing here in this video and what this case kind of entails.
So this is a residence in the area about 27th and Pine Lake, and what we have here is a Hyundai Veloster that is pulling up, and a female that gets out of it, and she grabs a package off the porch of the residence. Maybe it's like a pickup thing at first, you might think, but what actually is happening, the homeowner got a notification this package has been dropped off at the residence, and she beat the homeowner home, essentially, and got the package. And then shortly after that, this victim basically got notification that there's some kind of unauthorized AT&T account that had been opened up under this victim's name and address. So it seems to possibly all be related. Maybe some kind of fraud where this person got his information and then used his accounts to have something delivered that she maybe opened up an AT&T account using.
But no money lost for this victim, which
Right.
again is good, which kind of makes it, it's kind of an identity theft, but usually when we talk about identity theft, we're talking about a loss. And
Yeah.
there's no real loss here, which is a good thing.
And I mean, there could be some loss in general, like maybe say the company itself that shipped this phone, they have a loss, or maybe it's a credit card loss. The individual victim maybe not necessarily is going to have their own loss, but there could be other losses involved in this case in kind of a tangential area with it. So.
Yeah, so it's kind of an interesting, weird case. And one of the things that you guys kind of noted was the vehicle. I think was kind of interesting in this case. You can see the individual here in the video, but the vehicle itself is a little bit more of an unusual make and model.
Yep, we think it's a light-colored Hyundai. I'm really terrible at that name, by the way. Hyundai. However you like to pronounce that one. And it's called a Veloster, which all I think of is Velociraptor, but it's a sporty-looking car. We don't believe there's a lot of them in Nebraska, so we're really hoping that maybe somebody can identify that vehicle and give us a good idea of maybe who the female is that would have a car like that. We don't know if it's white. We're showing you a white one just to kind of show you the image of one of those types of vehicles. We could be having a car anywhere in the kind of that light color spectrum based on the video.
You guys sent the email yesterday with some of these cases, and I read through it, and I saw one of these vehicles this morning.
What color was it?
It was a light gray.
Yeah.
And it had Kansas plates.
Yep.
So there's
Yep.
my Crime Stoppers tip. I don't know if it's connected or not, but I saw it and I was like, I should take a picture and text Jared and let him know that I've seen this car.
Well, that's where you're supposed to put it in and turn it in as a Crime Stopper tip, right?
Yes.
Instead of telling Jared what you saw.
Get the reward.
Yeah.
But this is the individual in that video. Looks like probably white female.
Yep.
Brown hair. Looks like she's wearing a white sweatshirt.
Yeah. Might have some lighter colored dye in it, maybe. It's kind of hard to tell with a black and white camera like that. But maybe 20s is our guess on this female.
Younger.
So I don't know. Maybe somebody has a good tip. We're hoping.
Which, Jared, if someone does have a good tip, what's the best way for them to get in touch with you?
Well, of course, you can always call the police department at that 441-6000 number, which is our non-emergency dispatch line. Of course, if you want to remain anonymous, so that basically means no one knows who you are, or if you want to be eligible for a Crime Stoppers reward, you do have to report that to Crime Stoppers and not the police department. In order to do that, you can call that 475-3600 phone number, or you can also call ** TIPS, TIPS, and that will give you the option to basically report it to a phone dispatcher, and they will take your information there. You can also go online at LincolnCrimeStoppers.com, where there are all kinds of cases, and you'll fill out a form on that one to send it in to Crime Stoppers. And finally, my favorite is that P3 app. If you download that app, it's on your phone. It gives you a lot more ability with your tip. You can go in and update things. So say you see the same car later on and you want to tell us about it again, you don't have to go through the whole process of calling in and trying to get all that information linked up with us, it will just automatically link it back up
The
to your
most
tip.
efficient
Way
is
a great
to
way
leave a
say
tip.
it. Yes.
That's what we're all about.
Absolutely. And my favorite part, of course, and we've talked about this before, is that you can text with that. And the reason I say that's my favorite is sometimes people will call in a tip or send us information on a tip, and that tip is really good, but it doesn't quite get over the hump we're looking for, right? With that text ability, we can then maybe ask a follow-up question. So if the investigator comes up and says, hey, any idea about A and B on this case? And we could just go back in and we could type in to that text option, and then when you go back into your app, it'll show you that there's a text waiting for you on that app, and it will just basically allow you to have a conversation with us through text, and it's all completely anonymous. It's all wiped. We never see any of that information. It's not recorded.
Yep. And like, for someone like me or a member of the public, we may think we've given you all the relevant information, and we may, there may be still something out there that we didn't think was all that important.
Yep.
But for you guys, you're like, we want it all.
And it happens quite often that somebody has that information when we do actually get a hold of them later and we ask them a couple questions. A lot of times they have it. They just didn't realize that was important, or it didn't come to mind at the time. Maybe we ask them specifically, do you remember something like this happening? And they'll be like, oh, yeah, that happened right before that happened, or something.
It's like when I do the New York Times crossword. I will do it, and then I'll set it down for a couple hours, and I'll come back. There's a clue that I had no idea, but then I'm immediately like, oh, it's this.
You're way smarter than me. I don't even try anymore. I looked at it for 5 minutes and gave up.
I mostly just do the Monday ones because those are the easiest ones.
Oh, that's a good tip. I'll have to remember that.
Yeah, do the Monday
In case I want to
ones.
feel smart, I'll look at Monday.
Do the Monday. and then just don't look at the Sunday one because that one's the scary one. All right, Jared, the other crime we want to talk about today, this happened not too long ago. It's 6 days ago now.
Yes.
So on January 9th, and we had a robbery that happened at a local Bomgaars, and you guys have already made some headway in this case.
Yeah, we have made some headway. So basically, this is that Bomgaars out at 5640 Cornhusker Highway. This is about 6 in the afternoon on Thursday, January 9th. And this guy comes in.
Sun's down by 6, Jared. 6 is evening.
Okay,
now.
6 in the evening on Thursday, January 9th. And he obviously was experiencing the cooler weather of evening, so he was dressed up in his winter gear here. He came in with a female. They basically kind of meander around the store, and he obviously grabs these couple of items you can see within there. I know one of those was a Carhartt duck insulated bib overall is how they describe it. I'm not too sure what the big box was there. Didn't see anything in reports about what that specifically was. But he obviously is trying to walk out with that. What's interesting is the two of them, they both show up in a red Chevy Impala, and that pulls up in the lot. They both get out. They both go into the store together. But she leaves before he does, obviously probably to warm up the car, right?
It's cold.
So when he tries to leave, the staff actually tries to kind of stop him in the vestibule. It sounds like there was quite a scuffle there, some kind of confrontation. And so one of the employees ends up getting knocked over and actually gets hit on the head on the concrete. And so she ends up having to go to the hospital to get checked out. So what was potentially just a shoplift, when you injure someone in the process of it, it becomes a robbery. So now we're looking for this male in a robbery case. So we have identified the female. That's why we're not showing her here. But we just haven't quite gotten to the male yet. So we're hoping maybe somebody can give us a tip on who this guy is. According to the clerks, they believe that he may have had like a teardrop tattoo on the side of his face. They describe it as left. I'm not sure which perspective you're looking at, from yours or theirs, but so basically some kind of teardrop tattoo maybe on the face of this guy.
Okay, that's interesting. I didn't know the shoplifting to the robbery.
Yep.
I was going to say assault, but is there a distinction there?
Yeah,
Robbery,
it's
assault?
basically within the code that once you are doing a shoplift, if you injure someone in the process to get away or something like that, then it becomes a robbery because you actually have physical harm involved.
Okay. And I had another question for you, but it just completely.
It's our first time back. It's okay.
It's early. It's early in the year. This is again probably a good example of like, hey, if you do see a shoplift, just let him go.
Yes.
Call the police. You don't want to hurt yourself.
Yep. And there was some effort to try to stop this guy.
Shouldn't say you don't want to hurt yourself. You don't want to get hurt.
You don't want to get hurt. And I will say we are fortunate in Lincoln that with all the video that we have and with our active Crime Stoppers tips and programs and all of the media that helps us with this, most of the time when we have a good shoplift case, we can solve it later. So if you don't want to put yourself in a risky zone, I would prefer, or we would prefer, that you just let these people go and get the best video information you can get, get any plates, any good descriptions, get as much information written down or documented, so that way it can be handed to the officers and we can investigate it after the fact. We can do a lot of stuff after the fact, so we don't necessarily have to have them there at that moment. It's great if they stick around, but we definitely don't want people getting hurt over it.
Things can be replaced.
Absolutely.
People cannot. And I'm assuming through the whole legal process, there's restitution involved for these items that
and it kind of depends on the situation whether you're going to get restitution in those cases. But there is definitely that option as a possibility in these court sentences.
Okay. All right, and we already mentioned it, but again, if you know anything about this individual, about that vehicle, again, these are the best ways to get in touch with LPD. Make that anonymous tip online, the P3 app, whatever it might be. So again, all good ways to get in touch. Whether it's one of these two cases we've talked about, or again, you can go check out crimestoppers.com. There's a number of cases on there that folks can leave a tip on. And Jared, we said it at the very beginning, but January is also Crime Stoppers Recognition Month. You guys got to go rub elbows with some folks down at the Capitol, and this is the video from that day. I think I'm going to go back. I got to try and restart it here, and I'm going to play this video out. It is, vertical video here, but we'll go ahead and we'll play this video out.
Looks good on Facebook and TikTok that way, I guess.
In Albuquerque, New Mexico, was investigating a homicide and couldn't find a lead, and decided that somehow we needed to find a way to get the public to help out and not be afraid of reporting a crime. By removing that fear of retaliation and offering rewards, Crime Stoppers became a trusted bridge between law enforcement and the public. Here in Nebraska, the first chapter launched at the Lincoln-Lancaster County Board in 1980, followed shortly in 1982 by the Omaha Board. Finally, Nebraska's overall Crime Stopper program started in 1989. Since the 80s, those Nebraska programs have received over 60,000 tips, solved 19,500 cases, and led to 15,500 arrests. They have recovered $11 million in stolen property and seized $12.9 million in drugs. 322 weapons have also been removed from the street, all thanks to the courage of Nebraska citizens in just stepping forward. At the heart of Crime Stoppers' success is the trust it fosters. The program offers a safe, secure, and completely anonymous platform for civilians to report criminal activity, whether through our P3 mobile app, online submissions, or just a local phone line.
Now therefore be I, Jim Pillen, Governor of the extraordinary state of Nebraska, do hereby proclaim the month of January 2025 as Crime Stoppers Recognition Month in Nebraska, and I do hereby urge all citizens to take due notice.
Crime Stoppers originally began in 1970.
But there's a video. You kind of got to go through some of the stats there. Can you run it through those stats again for us?
I don't have all the Nebraska stats, but I can tell you that with Lincoln, we've done pretty good this year. For instance, we had over 2,000 tips that came in this last year. We know we made at least 41 arrests based on those tips. We had over 30.
Wait, that's this year? Just like 2025?
Yep.
Oh, wait, 2024?
2024, yeah.
Okay, I was going to say.
Yep.
I was saying, Jared.
No, we
it's
haven't
only
made 41
January
arrests
15th. You guys
15th.
have been busy. Jeez Louise.
I mean, I'm glad we aren't there in that perspective, yes. But we've also done about $36,000 in drugs that were seized last year, and about $4,000 in property that was recovered from Lincoln areas that were stolen items like shoplifts or thefts. And obviously with this case, what we're talking about is all of Nebraska here. So that the stats that we gave there was all of the Nebraska programs kind of combined into a large pool there. And obviously the nice thing about this one was Omaha came down, joined the Lincoln-Lancaster board in this proclamation with the governor, and it was nice to kind of talk to some of the people on the Omaha board as well, see them. We get to see them every once in a while, but it's always nice to hang out and just kind of chit-chat about how that program's going and what we're doing different from them. And so it was great that they could show up. We had, 5 other Crime Stoppers boards at least in Nebraska, and none of the others were able to make it. That was kind of around some of the snow stuff too, so I think some people were a little nervous about that. But it was still nice to have Lincoln and Omaha both be up.
Well, it's nice to see, to get the recognition. Again, it's one of those things that a lot of folks maybe not think about, but it's, again, something that, again, we talked about it before, about a 50% clearance rate for you guys. There's a lot of it, it's quality of life crimes, and, one of the reasons why Lincoln is such a nice place, Nebraska is such a nice place, is because we get a lot of these solved.
Absolutely.
You get it taken care of.
And I think that the community here is one of the things that's great about it, because we were talking about just recently, like the pickup rate even for rewards is incredibly low. Even on like a national average, I think it's around 30%, and we hover way below that. on actually what people are picking up for rewards. So they're not in it for the money. They're in it because they want to do the right thing. They want to do something for their neighbors. They're they're upset with something going on in that situation. They want it solved. They're not in it for the money most of the time, and that speaks volumes of our community.
And so there's a Lincoln Crime Stoppers. There's an Omaha Crime Stoppers. I think we've talked about there's like a Nebraska Crime Stoppers. Does most of like the main cities, the major cities, kind of have similar programs?
A lot of the larger cities have them. There's a couple that are real small cities that maybe they cover an entire county around that city. Sometimes they'll band together and they'll cover a couple of counties, 2 or 3 counties, when they're smaller city sizes. The nice thing is that even if you don't have a Crime Stoppers program that's active directly in your area, your city, or your county, that's what the existence of the Nebraska Crime Stoppers programs for is. They will handle anything that's not covered by another program. So, small town, no program, they get a tip, that'll go to Nebraska Crime Stoppers. They'll clear it. They'll work with the authorities in that small town to get that case cleared. And once it's cleared, then they will offer that reward through the Nebraska program.
And so in the video there, you talk about how this program was started Albuquerque, New Mexico.
Yep.
1986. And now, correct me if I'm wrong, it's an international, basically, type program, right?
Yep. There's 2 different kind of boards. There's one that's Crime Stoppers USA, and then there's also a Crime Stoppers International. I don't want to say they're related. Obviously, they're related in what their goal is, but they definitely have their own boards or their own separate entities. And there are some kind of crossovers sometimes here and there between USA and International. They do work together at times, but they are definitely different agencies, so I don't want to lay them in the same group. But Crime Stoppers USA, again, it's similar. All of your local organizations, they're all individually ran in your county, in your city, whichever it is. And USA is really not there to govern how those programs work. They're more there just to have best practices, training, try to get them to have a good idea of how to run their boards and still remain within certain boundaries.
There you go. Look at you in that picture, looking all fancy and nice, that proclamation in hand.
Yep. Yeah, that's a fancy picture right there.
All right, Jared. Well, again, kudos to, not only you and everything that you do with Lincoln Crime Stoppers, but again, all the Crime Stoppers programs across the state. You guys do a ton of great work. We certainly very much appreciate you. Anything else you wanted to add, either about the 2 crimes we talked about today, about the proclamation, or anything else that's on your mind?
I would actually like to add a huge kudos to all of the board members, all the people that donate to keep those boards alive. Without all of those civilians that are interested in keeping crime down in their area, those programs wouldn't exist. The officers wouldn't be getting those tips. We wouldn't be clearing those cases. So it really is a community-based program of civilians that are helping police. And so I do want to, you're on the kudos train here. I would love to extend that kudos out to those people as well.
So, that pops another question in my head. Are you already preparing for this year's Sue Dunnett?
We're talking about it right now. So we're going to see where we go with it.
All right.
We had our first meeting actually of the year 2 days ago.
There we go.
So we're kind of getting the groundwork for where we're going to go this year with that program. So
there we go. All right. Well, looking forward to hearing some of those details. Jared, as always, appreciate your time. Appreciate everyone for tuning in, watching another edition of Crime Stoppers. Until next time, hope everyone has a nice Wednesday. Hope everyone has a nice couple days. It's supposed to be like 50 degrees tomorrow,
I know.
Jared.
This is great. And then you're going to ruin it later.
I know. It's going to get really cold this weekend. So we'll have to have that to look forward to. So appreciate everyone for tuning in, watching. We'll see you next time.